Greetings and salutations, everyone. Welcome to Nerd on the Podcast update show, where we are going to share with you the nerdy news that we care about for this week. And then the second part of the show, where we're going to answer questions. We don't introduce the host at all, Corey.
No, Tom. We don't.
I'm going to go ahead and start off then. I'm going to start off,
please,
because this show is going to be a little different. This episode's, we're a little shorthanded in a way. We're missing some of our hosts, and we miss them dearly. And we did not have anything to do with their disappearance. But today, of all days of the day of this recording, this is when news likes to drop some bombshells, and it wouldn't be a Nerd On Update show without me being the DC boy.
The DC boy. There he is. He's here.
DC. I'm going to bring all the DC boy. I have all these toys. I just have so many DC toys. Anyways, without some interesting things. So we're like, at this point in the recording, the time comes out, we're days away from DC fandom. The second year of when DC has provided their own kind of Comic-Con experience, their own Hall H experience for everyone to watch it at the convenience of their homes and the safety of their homes. But also they get all the stars together, all the comic book writers, all the animators, all the things about shows that we love. We talked about it a couple weeks ago. And it's turning out to be pretty exciting. There's a lot of rumors that The Batman trailer will come out. The Flash has just...
And like a long one, too, they're saying. Like it's going to be a...
We'll see, I hope. Yeah, I hope.
Be nice.
I think Black Adam has just wrapped shooting. The Flash has just wrapped shooting. So we probably won't get anything there other than maybe some stills or something like that, or maybe like a full list of the cast. It looks like there are going to have appearances from the cast of Black Adam, particularly with Pierce Brosnan. So those, like, it's going to be kind of interesting, people of interest. But today's story really kind of comes from some news that dropped up from DC Comics proper. And I always really kind of like keeping an ear to or a finger on the pulse with the comic books, just because that is the source material. That is Mother's Milk. That is where, we get these 75, 80 years worth of history of these characters and the evolution of these characters. And recently, Tom Taylor, who has taken the reins of writing the Superman comic books. Now, for you guys listening who are not, familiar with Superman comic books, it all started with Action comic books, and then there was the Man of Steel comic books, and there's been a bunch of different comic books. So there's a Superman Red Blue, all and now currently in its iteration, the Superman title is Superman, Son of Kal-El. So it follows the story of Jonathan Kent, or John Kent at this point, who, after in the events of Rebirth, has traveled through time, aged up. Now he's like, I think 18 years old. I think he's going to college at this point. And today, at the time of this recording, Tom Taylor tweeted out and was able to share with the world that Jonathan Kent is now has come out as bi. So it was a big deal, especially because of National Coming Out Day. Of a lot of people who are part of the LGBTQ community have been able to kind of celebrate, being able to come out. And a lot of people did, mention of like, hey, this is a very important day to live authentically to yourselves. And if you can afford to come out, then it's a wonderful time. And the world's a better place for it. Trying to create empowerment for that. And obviously, we live in a world
society
where we can't just be happy for people. And, with Tom Taylor's words in particular, the writer of this comic book, the comic run, said that everyone deserves to see themselves in their heroes. And this also kind of comes out a little bit on the heels of Tim Drake coming out as bi too, a few weeks, almost a month ago. And comic book community tends to always get split down the middle, and it's always really kind of a reminder of how far we've come, but also how much work we need to do. And I'm all for characters evolving, characters reflecting our society and how it looks like and how it acts like and how it sounds like. My big kind of challenge or burden or responsibility to be placed on DC with this is that I hope more writers who identify in the LGBTQ community can now contribute more in that sense, where now if we're wanting our characters like Calderon, Aqualad from Young Justice. When he came out as bi, it was like, oh, it was a big deal. Hopefully it reflects that way internally too, with the assistants and the story producers and the artists and the writers. So I'm all for it. And the only bit of news is that it came out, it was cool, and then people got mad, people were happy. But we just got
Such
some work
as
to do,
any
babe.
news this way. Some people got mad, some were happy. That's unfortunate.
I'm for it. If you guys aren't for it, then read your comic books that you want to read. You don't need to slander, characters who are, building their legs to
Sure.
reach new heights. And I think we need to have more space for those stories. So that's my news. Go ahead, Corey.
Well done, Tom. Mine is not as positive. It is in a sense, but it has to do with murder, like serial murder. The Zodiac Killer has been identified, and I'm going to air quote this because the FBI, police and the FBI in the U.S. have dismissed what has been found and still state that the case is still open because of some circumstantial evidence that's been used to prove this. However, an unofficial investigative team called. Let me open my notes back up. This is very case breakers. Excuse me. Said they believed that the Zodiac was a man named Gary Francis Poste. That's Poste, who was a retired Air Force serviceman and a house painter who died in 2018. Was in fact the Zodiac Killer. They released a statement saying that they reached their conclusion based on some photos and decrypting one of the messages by knowing his middle name. That was like perhaps the missing link through all of this. And by using his middle name, they were able to change the code to make sense and figure out who it was. There are some people who have kind of come out since saying that, yeah, that tracks. I knew Gary and he was pretty aggressive and he had a few very rabid followers. But all in all, pretty interesting. Especially because I'm a fan of the movie Zodiac by David Fincher, with Jake Gyllenhaal, Robert Downey Jr., Mark Ruffalo. But yeah, it's one of those things that, my whole life, it's always been kind of the joke of like, oh yeah, I'll never find the Zodiac. So it's kind of interesting to me that they may have. I'm obviously, again, trying to remain pretty neutral, as the FBI and a lot of the U.S. officials have said no. Using that circumstantial evidence doesn't really prove it. If we can prove this evidence to be solid, hard fact, then yes. But seeing as he's deceased, we don't know. But for a brief couple hours there before the U.S. government released their statement, I was pretty stoked. I was like, they did it. They got the guy. But he's dead. So what are you gonna do? Anyway, for those true crime lovers out there, we may have done it. That made the greatest mystery in true crime maybe over. So that's my news. What are you laughing at, Tom?
For the audio listeners, I am watching this on stream and I'm seeing the side of Corey's face. So it's kind of like I'm not really interacting with them, although the people who are on the stream are seeing us and are just our straight faces.
Yeah, he's got a camera over this way.
Well, it just looks like that I'm watching an actual podcast right now, and I'm like, this is some Alex Jones, like we're like conspiracy theorists.
He's making the frogs gay.
So I'm just saying, I'm like, it's like, we
That's
don't
what he
know
said, right?
quite yet. Yeah, he did say that. And so it's just like us, obviously doing our due diligence of having our own levels of skepticism, but also like hoping that the case is solved. But it's like watching this and I'm like,
I'm more upset about how accurate my Alex Jones was than anything else. Like the fact that I could snap into that so quickly is more upsetting to me than most things. But I digress.
Yeah, so we'll move on to the second part of the show, the last part of the show, where we're going to go and take questions from the audience. Now, the questions I'm going to read are the pre-selected ones that were given to us via our Discord, our questions, questions at nerdon.tv.
Well, there's nerdon.tv/questions, which is where you can submit it, if that's what you were referencing.
Yeah, not a website or not an email, but a website.
Nerdon.tv/questions. But there is a questions at nerdon.tv, actually.
Yes.
So either one will work.
or through our Discord channels. So if you're part of our Nerd On Nation, then you get priority by joining our Patreon. Or if you're part of our general community on Discord, then there's a place to put that in there, and it's also put into this bank that we select. So
like Tom said, if you are a part of the Nerd On Nation, you get what we call a Nerd On Nudge, and your questions get asked first. Such questions as
Jeremy M asks, if phrenology were true, which region of your skull would protrude the most? In other words, what do you feel is your most dominant mental or personality trait? Now, Corey, do you know the phrenology map of your skull?
No. So I should look it up real quick.
I have it up here.
Okay.
And it's interesting. So it's like got blue and red and yellow and green.
Is it PH?
Yeah, PH RENOLOGY.
Okay, I'm looking at it here.
And you'll see like a skull. It's kind of like this like nice little artist rendering.
This one here?
Like, yes, and it's got like destructiveness on over the ear. It's got combativeness behind the ear, perspectives over the eye, tune, time, locality, all this stuff. So I'm just gonna go based off this because Jeremy M is too smart of a nerd.
Too smart, 5 me. 3 smart, 5 me. That's what I meant to say. See, I'm an idiot.
So yours is so if I'm gonna go based off that, what do I think which lobe or which area of my brain protrudes the most? So just for our listeners who are also unfamiliar with this, who haven't looked it up while they're listening, there's places like friendship and consciousness and firmness and benevolence, human nature. Like, it's not really like what you imagine of like kindness and firmness. It's like a lot of stuff. So it's like, it's got continuity, it's got creativeness, it's got ideality. So it's like, oh, I don't know exactly. Yeah. Just looking at the picture by itself, I think the region that protrudes most in my mind, my brain, my head, would probably be maybe just for, I think I have some comparativeness. Corey always has to keep me on my toes and say comparison is a thief of joy. So I tend to compare myself to things. I compare myself to others, and never in a downward way. It's always in a way that is inflicted on me, that I could be doing better in life. I compare mediums to each other. I compare things within mediums to each other, like films or books, or how stories are told, how one relationship affects the other, or how they are in retrospect, one food spot versus another food spot. I tend to compare a lot just because I feel like having empirical evidence to compare two things provides a narrative where you can make your assumptions and opinions. So I would say that.
So comparativeness. So what part of your face would bulge forward? Is the top, the crown of your forehead.
Right here. And you know what? I did find out in the 23andMe that I share more DNA with
where your hairline meets.
Yeah, I share more DNA with Neanderthals than most people. So I'm like, cool.
Sweet.
Cool. So
cool,
I'm less evolved.
Tight.
I'm less evolved. Cool.
Mine would be probably ideality. I feel like I base a lot of my choices in life off what I think is important and what I think the ideal situation for something might be. Like,
off the shoulds.
I've left a lot of jobs because I'm like, if my life equals this, I will look back on my life at 80 and be like, that sucked. I wish I had done anything else. Yeah, that part would be like right here, right at the above your side.
You're growing this way.
My brain would be growing. So I'd be like a hammerhead shark almost,
or like a Katamari looking character.
Yeah, beautiful Katamari. That's it. So I think that would be mine. Good question. I like that question.
Next question. This question comes from Brad. Shout out. Since Halloween is coming up, do you guys have a favorite creepypasta? I'm partial to video game ones myself, but I really love the I'm a search and rescue officer for the U.S. Forest Service stories.
What? I'm an officer?
I'm a search and rescue officer for the U.S. Forest Service stories.
Interesting.
I don't know what these are. I don't have a creepypasta in mind particularly, but I do have the one page horror stories.
Oh, these are just people who were search and rescue officers for the Forest Service who have told their stories.
Oh God, no.
For finding like missing people and stuff like that in the forest. I think that's if I mean, write us in, make sure that we're getting that right. But what I found off a quick Google search is that's what it is. It's like, hey, this is what I do for a living. Here's what I've seen. That's a good one.
I want everyone who's listening to look up a creepypasta and then send it to us on our Discord.
Yeah, please.
We could just read them off of like our like general chain, because creepypasta is interesting because I definitely feel like someone's definitely writing these, but there is that fun escape of like, oh, these could be people. And some of them might be real and true, because I feel like video game creepypastas. Have you heard of the Plebius?
No.
The Plebius was like this arcade cabinet in like, I forget, it's like I think middle America, but like it was like an arcade cabinet that like would like abduct kids or something like that.
Jesus.
And there's like a whole podcast like around that thing. And I think those are absolutely fascinating. But no, I don't have a creepypasta that I've read.
I have a couple. I mean, I have the one that's like, my biggest fear is having someone walk up to me and like, I've read this a few times and being like, please wake up. Please, we want you to wake up.
Oh.
And then like walking away. Because there have been people, or at least in this creepypasta thread that I was reading, there have been people who were in comas and they said that they were dreaming and that people in their dreams were being like coming up to them and saying, you need to wake up. But in reality, it was people in the real world asking them to wake up. And their subconscious was telling them through dreams and stuff. So that one always like gave me chills when I would read that at night. It'd be like, you need to wake up, please. But the one that got me, and I'll admit, I haven't gone back and read it recently, but this is like 2011, I want to say, maybe 2010.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I want to look this up so I get this right.
Yeah,
2011. And I'm gonna botch this, but it's a web comic, and it's called The Bong Chun Dong Ghost.
Oh,
and I remember reading this, and it's one word, BONGCHEON dash DOGN. DONG, excuse me. Ghost. And it's an urban story from Japan, but it uses a webtoon format to tell the story. Mm-hmm. And I won't spoil anything because I think everyone should check it out. Unless, I mean, it's got a little jump scare in there, so, you know, trigger warning for that. But it creeped me the hell out, and I've like it's burned into my retina about it. So it's a creepy little ghost story that floated around the internet in the early 2010s, 2011. But check it out if you're into scary stuff, you know.
Okay.
Maybe I'll post a link in our Discord.
Yeah, post a link on the Discord. For me, I'll just share one. I did this with Corey like a couple years ago where I was just at his place and we were reading these 2-sentence horror stories. I absolutely loved them. So I found one which I really liked was I woke up to hear knocking on the glass. At first, I thought it was the window until I heard it come from the mirror again. And that's it. And like there are these two short horror stories.
My favorite one is I heard my mom call me from downstairs. As I ran, someone snatched me into the closet. It was my mom. She said, I heard it too.
Yeah.
Scared the shit out of me. Like that gives me goosebumps to this day.
Yeah.
I heard it too.
I think there's a bunch of them. If you just look up like 2 sentence
forgot about
horror.
the 2-sentence horror stories. Those are so good.
They're so good. And there's actually a Netflix series of them.
Yeah, I know.
I think I showed it I sent it to you and I was like, oh man, we should have jumped on this.
We thought about it and we never followed through. That's what we get.
But yeah, they're really fun. I think they're really short and cool, and like you could just share them and read them with your friends and all that stuff. And you're like, ooh, you know, it's kind of like scary stories to tell around a campfire. But you just, you know, they're 2 sentences and they're done. Those are the ones I got, and I'd recommend anyone to go check those out. Next question.
Yeah.
Okay, this one comes from TDog8282.
Shout out.
Which are you more excited for? Witcher Season 2, Spider-Man 3, or Kingsman, which is Kingsman 3?
Yeah. Uh, what was the first one? Witcher season 2?
Witcher season 2, Spider-Man 3, or Kingsman.
Spider-Man 3.
Yeah, same. Spider-Man 3.
I think Spider-Man 3.
I feel like, Witcher is going to have its heyday. I think it's like definitely absorbing that space that like Game of Thrones has left. But Spider-Man 3, No Way From Home, like we never got a third film with Andrew Garfield, and not a lot of people really find the Tobey Maguire one too favorable. But also this one promises to kind of have the two others in there without ever actually fully announcing them. But also like, yeah, I feel like multiverse stuff, having a Spider-Man that interacts with other Marvel characters is something that a lot of people look back at the old ones and kind of miss. It's something that I enjoy out of these ones because I got the Tobey Maguire ones and I love those films so differently. Because they are so confined within that world. But like this will be kind of fun to see where all those characters are and who's going to show up in them, and so.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. At least whether or not any of that stuff is true or real, I would say that at least seeing Alfred Molina again is pretty sweet.
Yeah, no, and I don't want to. No, if I even mention anything, I'm like it's gonna be a spoiler, so I'm just not gonna say anything. Because that's how the internet is, and I don't want to be a spoiler person. But yeah, Spider-Man 3. So now we have gone through all of the pre-banked questions.
Yeah.
What are some questions we can get from the chat starting now? I have one from a few weeks ago, but I want to see some people in the chat throw some questions our way on anything, on any topic. And we're just gonna have a conversation about it. And we're gonna shout you out on the show because obviously we're gonna read off your name. But the first question is actually gonna be from Talon of the Dragon. So when is the Nerd On spin-off show focusing around Corey's family, with the rest of you being the other members coming and going from unrealistic 3-story house?
I'm sorry, what?
It's a big question.
Hold on one sec. So, hey, Dana, can you stop? Thank you. I see that we're picking up dishes. Mark this time, Tom.
No, this is staying in.
Staying in. All right, we're doing it live.
Look, everyone, we all know that we're all recording this from home.
We're all recording.
People have lives and stuff. And Daniel's just like, I gotta do some dishes, baby. I gotta do some dishes.
Is the best.
Yeah. Okay, so this question. So when is a time the Nerd On spin-off show focusing around Corey's family, with the rest of us being members coming and going from this unrealistic 3-story house?
I see. So when like the baby comes, when's the spin-off series happening?
Yes.
Where it's like Nerd On and a baby. Like 3 men and a baby.
Yes, that's what
well, the newest member is coming February. So, once she gets her lines down, however long that takes,
yes,
I guess that's when that's happening.
And the world knows she's a she. She's a she.
It's a she.
She's a she.
She's a she.
Yeah, so I feel like, I really just want to make sure that everyone could really embody in the roles, for a little bit. And we're going to have to, definitely get her acting chops up there a little bit. I think there's good potential, but, I want to
stretch into it,
Yeah. I don't want her to be, at Meryl Streep level where like she doesn't really have to try and she just wins, but a little bit more like Jennifer Lawrence right before Silver Linings Playbook, where she really had to prove herself and she was like, I'm going for it, but also I'm not trying that hard. It's just what I do, baby. And I want fries. And then so she can gracefully fall up the stairs. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Very simple. Very, very simple.
So probably 6 months.
Yeah. Probably in 2 months after today before the baby's born. No, I mean I feel like that would actually be the pilot episode. It would be like you guys, all of us living in this crazy place, getting ready for the baby to happen, and at the end of the episode, the baby pops out.
Yeah,
and like that's
I like that
whole show.
I like that.
Okay, next question. Ooh, this one just came from the chat.
What's up,
Abby 0007? What is your favorite fun fact? One that I really liked recently.
There's a whole book on him
that I hate. I don't hate it, but it's just like, oh my god. It was a fun joke that I think I forget his name, Raul Cooley.
Dana, don't microwave anything right now.
Raul.
Don't microwave anything right now. We're recording.
This whole episode is down the drain now. Everyone.
Because I haven't really like recorded from here yet. This is like the first time.
It's happening. It's happening.
Yeah, we're
Guys,
in a new house, and the microwave is just around the corner from here.
Yes.
It's all good.
It's all good. Hey guys, this is the show that you wanted. You wanted more of us. This is a little bit of the peek behind the curtain, pulling back the veil on our Patreon episodes. Guys.
You know how it is.
So if you want to hear more of these episodes, you have to join the Patreon. But okay, so favorite fun fact. I would definitely like. So this is one I thought was kind of cool, but so Raul Coley, I think he was on iZombie. That was like the big thing that I remember him from. He's also going to be in Zack Snyder's something of the gods, Fury of the Gods, or something like that. Anyways, he posted this thing on Twitter, and it was that Cleopatra lived closer to our time now in 2021 than she lived closer to the pyramids of Giza.
Yeah.
I was just like, what the heck?
There was also like we're closer to T-Rex than a T-Rex was to a Triceratops on the timeline.
Yeah, I hate that. I think it's so cool. I think it's so cool because like so the joke fact was like, you know, it was the same thing with Cleopatra closer to now than she was closer to the pyramids. Mm-hmm. And then I was like, and then she's like, Cleopatra is actually closer to the pyramids than she is about getting a PS5. And I'm like, yeah, that's true. That's so true because no one's gonna get a PS5. So that's one fun fact. Corey, do you have one?
I was gonna do the T-Rex one, but so I'm looking up another one because I thought that was very similar to yours. I'm trying to see these other ones that I know. There are more stars. No, there's more trees on Earth than there are stars in the Milky Way.
Oh, I on top of that, there are more water molecules in a bottle of water than there are bottles of waters in the world.
Whoa. Okay, I didn't know that one.
That Neil deGrasse Tyson talked about that, and I was like, but he's also saying like, that being said, there's so many water molecules in a bottle of water. They're all recycled water bottles, right? Or all recycled water. Probably Abraham Lincoln's pee is in there. You know, like that's the probability
dinosaur
of how
pee and stuff.
Yeah, so it's like that kind of stuff. It's like, oh man.
And I just had another one, and I just totally forgot it. I think I gotta look that one up. I think if I remember correctly, that you can fit all of the planets between Earth and the moon, all the 9 planets in our solar system, between the space that there is between Earth and our moon. But I want to make sure. I don't want to be telling.
I was like, that sounds real tiny. One that's kind of spatial is also a Neil deGrasse Tyson. If you were to look on like a macroscopic view, or an outside zoomed out view of the Earth, it would seem smoother than any marble or any pool ball that we could ever manufacture.
Whoa.
The Earth is so big, and then the mountains and all of the like crevices and cracks would be so microscopic on the ball of the Earth that it would be just like a bowl, like a pool ball or a marble, because we wouldn't be able to tell the imperfections. And I think that's wild.
It is true. You can fit all of the planets in our solar system between the average distance between the Earth and the moon.
That's dumb.
Yeah.
I hate that. We'd have to be able. We could travel through all of our planets before we get to our moon. That's wild.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's wild.
Good question. That was fun.
Very good question. Please bring more questions like
Bees
that.
dance to tell each other where to go. A group of unicorns is called a blessing.
Unicorns?
A group of unicorns is called a blessing.
I call a group of unicorns a lie.
A group of pandas is called an embarrassment.
Is a group of dragons called a victory?
No, but I know a group of crows is a murder, but a group of ravens I think is a conspiracy.
And a group of
crocodiles are called a congress.
A group of
hippos is called a bloat.
I think there's something that's they're called like a business or something.
Ferrets. It's a business of ferrets. I think. I think it's a business of ferrets. Yeah.
I definitely looked them up and I was like, I want to find the dumbest one.
A group of flamingos is called a flamboyance. So anyway, those are all my fun facts.
Next question from the chat. It's going to be from Ethan Who. Opinions on that new Young Justice poster. Obviously not much to go off, but Zatanna is featured prominently, which I'm excited for.
Tom got me on that Young Justice life.
Let's look up Young Justice
It's all
quick.
Tom's fault. I think he got me on that show back in like 2015, 2016.
Yeah.
And no lie, I would go home on my lunch breaks to watch episodes, and I ended up watching the first 2 seasons in 4 days.
Yeah, they're really good. And this was like, it was canceled, and I had been, just as I was with the Snyder Cut, I was just like, look, bring it back, baby. Like, and the same thing, like Bruce Timm and Susan Eisenberg, who plays Wonder Woman in Justice League, they've all been saying, like, if you want more of this, you have to. And I talk about this, you got to vote with your dollars. You got to, buy the merch. You got to buy the DVD, put on. I remember. I put it on Netflix. I put Young Justice on repeat. I would just let it play while I went to work. Because I was like, I want that play count up. And they're like, you have to binge it. And like, there was a hashtag. It was like, binge Young Justice. And I was like, I'm here for it. Are you looking at the poster, Corey?
Yeah. I just got corrected in chat. A group of ravens is called an unkindness. Thank you. Not a conspiracy. There is one called a conspiracy. I just can't remember what it is.
It's probably a group of vultures.
Maybe. This poster looks dope as hell, though.
I like it for 2 reasons. One, it features the characters that we actually care about. I think Young Justice season 3 was fine and dandy. 3?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was fine and dandy. They added a lot of characters in there. They had this kind of, outworldly B plot, C plot thing going on. But these older characters kind of took a back seat. They were like the older mentors. And I understand it's called Young Justice, and you kind of want to keep it around the young kids. But these were the characters that we were invested. Like, we want to see Dick Grayson, that young kid who was like, I'm Robin, I want to be Batman. That it's like, and then all of a sudden, I don't want to be Batman. Or like Connor or Connell, who's like, I want to know what it's like to be the Superman. And like, you always know that like when he does get a chance to be like the one Kryptonian around, like he is a little happy. And everything that happens with McGann is really great. So the poster in itself, it looks like there's a little bit of multiverse thing going on with like the Earth behind him, or that grid circular thing behind him.
Yeah.
Just purely with the question of like Zatanna being featured prominently. I like that. I think her character development of her father, Zatara, becoming Dr. Fate was huge. And then have you watched season 3, Corey?
Only half.
Did you see the episode where at what happens every year and she talks to Dr. Fate? She has this meeting.
That doesn't ring a bell. It's been a while though.
It is heartbreaking. It'll make you tear up. And I think that's a really in-depth thing that they implemented in the show. Also, I want to see Calderon. I really like Aqualad. I thought they made Aqualad really, really cool by introducing.
Aqualad is so cool.
And then making him bi in the show is like, oh, that was really cool. And I hope it kind of plays out them more than just kind of like a window dressing thing. And actually, like, I get to see the character in a relationship. But also Tigress, and Artemis, like being like, I'm waiting for Wally West.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for Wally to come back. I want Wally to come back. And yes, Ethan's on top of it in the chat. Aqualad, aka Calderon, is not Aqualad. He is Aquaman. Mm-hmm. He's Aquaman now. That's why he wears the orange. But yeah, I want Wally West to come back, and I want him to be like the Flash in Rebirth, where he's got the blue lightning and he's got like the hair up, but he wears a red suit.
Mm-hmm. That was actually a comment I left on the Twitter. Is like, I love Ezra's.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, I was like, I want to see one comic accurate Barry Allen, because most of the time we get the name Barry Allen with like some Wally West thrown into it, because Wally's fun. Barry's not fun. Like, I'll be honest, like Barry Allen is kind of like,
I mean, the thing
fun,
but the thing you do. The way you do it for me, and if I were to get my hands on these characters, I would do like Barry Allen's Monk. Barry Allen is Monk, Tony Shalhoub. Like, I can solve these mysteries. And he gets into a little bit of a hijinks, so it's a little bit like, Murder, She Wrote. that like she just happenstance to be in these situations and can figure these things out. Barry, like if you do in a show, like I think they just like ramp up too much of like the powers and how do you make him like fun and cool. And it's like what makes him interesting though is like how does he break down these like crime scene investigation things, and it's like, oh, this isn't a suicide, this was a murder, or oh, they didn't get killed by a car crash, they got killed by a bullet, and we didn't see those forensics things or whatever, those things. And like the fact that he can like use his super speed to kind of bend the law or break the law in his favor, I think it could be done. And then you every once in a while trickle in that metahuman who's like, oh, that's how they killed him, because it was another speedster that like punched him and they died or something like that. So I don't know. To me, that's how I do it, because then, like, yeah, you don't need to have the team dynamic thing that the CW does, which if you like it, I was all for the CW stuff. But now I'm kind of like, every show's like a team show and not really like what the Netflix Marvel shows where like, oh, I get to just have the one character and enjoy that. So
Jessica Jones, bring it back.
Oh, man. Any of your thoughts on this poster before we go to the last question?
Just that, I mean, I didn't have much to say other than I love it. It's nice to see that the characters that I wanted to see in more of in season 3, which is why I think I trickled off. We're getting to a return to, and like your point said, it's tough because you do want to keep it around the young Justice, but like it's hard to have that arc with those characters for 2 seasons and then show up for season 3 and be like, oh, they're kind of background now, which is strange. So. It's nice to see that they're front and center.
We can call him Millennial Justice.
Yeah, right.
Last question. We'll do this one from Black Diablo Mamba.
Shout out to Mamba.
Questions. Which 2 unrelated celebrities do you want to be in a new Odd Couple TV show? It could be anyone. And this is the follow-up in the chat. Mine would be Michael J. Fox and Keanu Reeves, which I think is pretty awesome. Man, Odd Couple celebrities.
Does age matter? Like, could I de-age them to another?
It is, in parentheses, it says it can be anyone. So I'd say, have the fun with it.
Because the first thing that came to mind.
Do one that bends reality, then do one in our reality.
Okay, because the first one that came to mind bends reality, because I would love to see a like 30-something-year-old version of each of these people. Tommy Lee Jones. And James Earl Jones.
Oh my god!
As the Odd Couple would make me.
Would you call it the Jones
happy.
And Jones?
Yeah, Joneses. Keeping up with the Joneses. But that would be my Odd Couple. I would love to see Tommy Lee Jones and James Earl Jones in something, in their like 30s. Baseball, Ray. No,
there's a show that's on Hulu right now that is like I'm really interested in the show because I feel like it kind of. Bites into that odd coupleness. What's it? Only Murders Here, whatever. It's on Hulu. It's with Martin Short and Martin and Steve Martin and Selena Gomez.
I heard it's really good.
I want to start watching because I'm like, that's a very interesting group of people to have in a show, and I love Martin Short. I just love Martin Short. So, for me, while you figure out your
non-reality one,
your non-reality. So if I would do a reality bending one, I would want Odd Couple. Oh, I mean, I think it has to be it probably has to be. Actually, I wouldn't mind. You know what? Maybe it's Jessica. Mia, I should. I think it should be Jessica Henwick because I think she's rising up in the stardom, and I'm very glad because she's a hardworking actor who performs a lot of harsh stunts and trains and practices, and also Asian homies. I got to represent with her, and then during her prime, Katharine Hepburn. So if you want to know like what I'm talking about, watch a film. I think it's black and white, Bringing Up Baby. And Katharine Hepburn's in there, and she's hilarious. She's too smart for her own good, kind of thing. Where like she's got all the guys and all that stuff, but it's a good like it's a very good Odd Couple thing. Like very stern man and very free spirit but smart woman who like knows more than everyone else thinks, but also like the hijinks that they get into. And I feel like there'd be a cool story of like those two people, those two actors portraying roles of like what could it be? It kind of reminds. It would be like kind of what's that one? American Pickle with Seth Rogen plays with himself.
American Pickle. Yeah.
Where it's like you have the old version and then you have the young version. So I'd want to have both of them like time displaced, so it could be like, but in our time frame.
Right.
So they can have that.
So that's your bending reality one.
That's my bending reality one. What's your reality one?
I'm still trying to think it out because I have a few people in mind, but what really snapped into my head was Kristen Bell and Lizzie Kaplan.
Oh,
I think could make a really funny team in that
like
scenario. Because I think they could both play either Oscar or Felix in the Odd Couple scenario of the show and the movie. But what came to mind instantly was Kristen Bell playing Felix, and Lizzie Kaplan playing Oscar. The more, I think I got that right? Yeah, Felix is the more uptight one. So Kristen Bell and Lizzie Kaplan came to mind. Yeah.
Part of me, just because I'm a dumb nerd, I kind of think it'd be great to have Tobey Maguire and Tom Holland.
Oh man.
Like, and I want like Unchained Tobey Maguire, like him getting berated by paparazzi and then like telling people to get the hell out of the street and road.
I mean, if you want to do a British comedy, you just keep Tom Holland and Andrew Garfield.
You could do that. And that's what I'm thinking. I was like, oh man, this would be pretty great.
Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire.
I started thinking, I was like, what about Michael Keaton and George Clooney?
Yeah. Well, Brad Pitt and George Clooney would be great too.
Well, yeah. Of course, Brad Pitt and George
Cheadle and Brad Pitt?
Or I was thinking about Don Cheadle and Terrence Howard.
Yeah. All right.
So I was just like, could be fun.
Mamba said, oh boy, in the chat. Oh boy.
Look, I mean, that'd be really cool. I think there is something to it where you have these actors who have played the same role, living in the same place, and then just did different things. Like, imagine Robert Pattinson and George Clooney.
Yeah. You
know what I mean?
My honest answer is still going to go with the Tommy Lee Jones, James Earl Jones.
Oh, yeah.
That's like my heart wants that, to go back in a time machine and pitch that, 50 years ago.
Yeah, like only as an Odd Couple thing. I only think I was like Katharine Hepburn and everything. She's the one. But that's it. That's all the questions we
made
got.
It.
Thank you,
made it, Josh. Only
we did it.
2 interruptions.
and they're all staying in. It's all live,
God,
baby.
Great.
That's what you always get. Like everyone,
we're a production company.
We get that, and I mean, I'm just telling you right now. When I listen to some shows and I hear their kids coming in, I'm like, you know what? They decided to keep them in. And you know what? I appreciate this respect. Game recognized game. You know what I'm saying? Like, we got to keep it real. Our audience is real with us. We got to be real with them.
Speaking of audience, if you like what you heard today, please leave us a review or a rating. It really, really helps us out. Going on there, giving us them stars, giving us a shout out on any podcasting audio app. It's a really helpful way to make sure we're getting heard.
Oh.
Yes.
I had one fun fact. I found out that if you actually share this podcast from whatever podcasting app or whatever you're watching or listening to this from, your health, you gain a day of your life.
Oh, that is a fun fact.
That is a fun fact. I didn't know. Like, I found this out recently that under the Harvard 1498 study, they were like, yeah, if you share the Nerd On podcast, podcast,
you
wherever,
gain 1 day of your life, especially if someone you love, it's a day and a half. Did you know that?
Did you know that?
If you someone it hates, it's 2 days. But if you'd like to help us even more, consider joining the Nerd On Nation, powered by Patreon. It helps us keep the lights on. It helps us do cool stuff. You get access to bonus episodes that no one else gets to hear. You get a lot of behind the scenes stuff. You get, actually, it's 2 episodes per month. You get the Extra and the Minute, which are exclusive to Patreon only. And you get early access to every other episode we do or create. So check that out. Goes a long way to helping us be the best that we can be. And you also get access to the super secret special Discord, which is always popping and always bumping. I think that's it. I did that just as smooth as Josh, I think.
Yes, you did. And it allows us to be the best that we can be.
I did say that.
I know. I just want to say it because I feel like I never get chances to just spiel about that. And I just want to make sure I say.
Oh, and as Mamba said in the chat, merch. We still got some exclusive merch that is going away soon. We have a 4-year anniversary mug where we covered the Cornetto trilogy, as well as some old school stuff that is leaving by the end of this year. So head on over to nerdon.tv/shop and check it out. I think that's it.
That's it, baby.
Manscaped.
Sing us out.
Anyway, you know the drill. As always, nerd on.